I've been watching you on TV since I was in primary.
Oh my God. How old are you? I was a child when I started. I was 17. And I started in theater, and I started with the people at the time who were like legendary. Well, I think the thing that people don't realize, the actors go to work. I put on clothes, I work with props. When you're gonna see the film or meet that character, the sense you have to get is that I've been living that life.
You said you've produced one film.
Yes.
And why only one?
Why one? Because it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. At least for me, it was one of the hardest things I ever did in my profession. Producing. It's creating work for people and paying them.
So basically, you gotta dig when you're getting into character. Wow, we're going to the depths of the person's soul, basically.
Yes. What gets you up in the morning? What does she do first thing she gets up in the morning?
Yeah.
What is she thinking? What's actually her dream? If you're an actor and you're being typecast, you've got to start layering your characters.
Yeah.
You've got to start doing the work. So you have to come with that stuff. As an actor, you always have a feast or a famine.
Nothing in between.
There's no. Rule number one, don't forget the famine. For every person right now trending, there will be a famine. You can feast and forget that there's a famine.
Yeah.
Because you see, hunger can make you an idiot.
I'm an African. Everybody's an African. Feels good, right? Feels good. Feels good. Feels good. It feels good every day when every African turns and shines my way. All my brothers from Zaire, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. It feels good every day when every African turns and shines my way. All my brothers from Zaire, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. I'm from the continent of refugees and rebels, where minds are richer than all rubies and marbles. Life at its best, view it from all angles. No longer do we wear shackles, but life's bangles. AIDS increases, the poverty's in levels, where flowers blossom every day in hard grovel. Traditional acts just brings out the marvel in every African's heart filled with sorrow. Wait for tomorrow, but the road remains narrow. African minds sharp like bow and arrow. We're aiming for higher places, man, I tell you. Communication through rhythms until I see you.
Good day, and welcome to another timeless episode of Filmatic. Today we are honored to welcome a revered icon of South African storytelling. She is someone who is celebrated for a legacy that spans over 2.5 decades of unforgettable performances. Her name is Moshidi Motshegwa. From portraying Nelson Mandela's daughter in Mandela and de Klerk to earning a SAFTA for Best Actress and starring in acclaimed productions like Drum and The River, Moshidi has become synonymous with excellence and versatility. With a foundation in the arts from the National School of Arts and Wits University, she has continuously pushed creative boundaries, embodying characters with raw emotion and precision. Her work has graced both local and international stages, including the Emmy Award-winning series ER. Now, please join me in welcoming the highly revered, internationally renowned Moshidi Motshegwa. How are you?
It is good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good energy.
Beautiful energy, actually.
Yes.
You ready to get into this?
I am so ready.
Okay, cool. Let's get this party started. How are you?
I am so well, actually.
Is it?
I am so good.
You know, I only believed you're coming when you drove in. I was like, okay,
Why?
cool. She's here. Okay, cool.
Occasionally I get out of my house. Occasionally I make it out of my own house to other people's spaces.
We're just grateful that you came. We really thank you for coming, hey?
Thank you for the invite.
Is it, eh? Now then, what I realized as we were prepping for your interview, everyone knows you from different places. Khomoso said, Kinako. I knew from SOS.
Oh my God. How old are you? How old were you when you watched SOS?
I was young. So that's why I'm a bit, when I say I'm getting over a couple of things, I was getting over that. I've been watching you on TV since I was in primary.
Do you know that always shocks me when I meet people and they say I've been watching since I was in primary. I'm like, that means I have been here for a long time.
And you're still at it?
At the moment, I'm here. I'm lifing. I'm lifing. That's my new word. I'm lifing at the moment.
And all these young people, again, we're young. We're grown now. We've seen you on screen. Like, how does it make you feel? Like we've grown with you.
Do you know, it's actually a privilege that I've had a career, and I still probably have that career, that has been witnessed by so many people. There are a lot of people who grow up and live their lives and never have that. And I've never felt that there's a pressure to be something other than who I am. And I think in that way, South Africa has been enormously generous to me and kind. I've always felt that my gift is what I came to the people with. And my gift is how you know me. And I've always been very aware of that gift and been very protective of that gift.
I hear you. You've always been aware of the gift.
I've always been aware of it. The minute it started to open up, I was conscious that I was getting something that I'd always asked for.
How did that play out? Just that moment, all right, cool.
You know, it's never like, all right, cool. I think because I was a child when I started. I was 17. And I started in theater, and I started with the people at the time who were like legendary. You know, Ramla Makhene, the late Ramla Makhene, the late Date Patrick Shai, you know, like Date Atamolepo. So my first show, I started with the greats. And I think there's a way that back in the day, the elders really groomed you. You know, I mean, there's this photograph of me wearing a school uniform because the role I had to wear a school uniform. I was a little girl called Tiny in Marabi. So there was a real kind of like I was the little kid on the show, you know, with these older people. And then we traveled with the show. We went to London, we went to Wales, and we went to America. So there is this part of my life where I think I got to see people who had been doing it for a really long time, who were very humble. And I got taught how to work with other people, how to be a team, how to create, like when you're in a scene, to take energy and create something beautiful with another person. That we don't do this alone, we do it with others, to have that consciousness of others. So I think that I had a great start, I think, now that I look back. And then my first film was with Sidney Poitier and Michael Caine. Yes, sit down.
Those are not light names,
well, just sit down.
by the way. Okay, I'm going to take a step back and then we're going to come back to Mr. Poitier. You are 17.
Yes.
And you're working with the greats such as Patrick Shah. How do you even find them? How does that even happen?
You know, I was at then it was called the Johannesburg Art Ballet Drama and Music School, which is now the National School of the Arts.
Okay.
And
they're in Bram?
Yeah, in Bram.
Okay.
And I think that I was the only black girl at the time. There'd been another black girl, but she left. Okay. So it had just opened for black people.
Okay.
So I am part of that original...
First black,
you know, the pioneers. Yeah, you know, so it was my end of the year. Munin Lee, the late Munin Lee, came to watch our final year pieces, and she asked me to come and see her. In fact, it was Munin Lee and Penny Chartres. I had an option of 2 big agents, and I went to see Penny Chartres, and I liked Munin because Munin had that thing. She had that, I don't know what to call the thing that Munin had, except she had the and I kind of like women like that. I remember going to see her, and she was sitting there, and, you know, the room was dark, and she had a cigar, and I was just like, yeah.
She had a cigar?
She had a cigar. Munin had a cigar. And I used to think, I feel you, sister.
Are you serious?
She was proper. She was.
So even choosing an agent, it's also energy? Because we've been talking a lot about energy since you've arrived.
I mean, as a child, I wouldn't have called it an energy. I just liked how she related to me. She also loved books, and I'm a book lover, a huge book lover. And I remember coming to office, and there were all these books, and we spoke about books. So I think sometimes you connect with somebody at the thing you love, you know, and she had so much knowledge about film and cinema and theater. And also, you know, who, as they're coming out of matric, meets like one of the top agents and gets to choose. I mean, if that is not the hand of God and spirit, then I don't know what else is, you know? So I had an incredible kind of step in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that at the time. I didn't know that at the time. But looking back, I can say, oh wow, you really were set up to do what you do. You know, you were led. I was led.
Incredible.
Yeah.
At 17 or at that young age, what are the challenges though that you're faced with? Because you're a young black woman. This would be the early
90s,
90s.
before, yeah. We just come into 94.
Wow.
93, 90, 92, 93. Yeah, 92, 93, somewhere there.
So what challenges are you facing just trying to bring forth your gift?
Well, first of all, you don't know that there's, I mean, I remember my teacher, Mr. Stevenson, writing me a letter and saying, my final at matric, saying to me, the world is waiting for you. The world is ready for someone like you. And at the time, it was not something that I would have imagined what that means, you know. Also, my parents didn't know if I could have a career in this. So I didn't, so I go registered WITS because I thought I'll become a lecturer in women's writing. I thought, what do I love? I love books. Okay, let me become a lecturer, not a teacher, a lecturer. You know, it's much more, I don't know. Yes, Professor Moshidi Motshegwa, it sounds good, you know.
There's a good ring to it,
It's got a good ring. Yeah. Prof Mo, Prof M, I liked it. I go to WITS and one day Muneen phones me and says, go and see Malcolm Perky. I go see Malcolm Perky and Malcolm Perky says, can you put a school uniform on? I said, yes. So I go to see Malcolm Perky at WITS, wearing school uniform during the day. And I get there and he says to me, get up on the table and dance. And that's exactly what I did. I got up on the table. I'm 17. I get up on the table. I dance. And he says to me, I'm going to write a role for you in Marabi. And that's what happened. You know, but after we do Marabi at the Market Theatre. I have this incredible experience. I work with all these people. And then I'm still a student.
Yeah.
At WITS, I'm doing my degree, you know. That's my real gig, but I've got this other gig that I do at night and in between. And after Marabi came the Colored Museum.
Wow.
Which was spectacular. I actually think the Colored Museum was the play where I discovered that I can actually act. Because the role was so big. And I remember feeling that shift inside me, that shift of, I have something.
Oh, wow.
I actually felt it. I felt my body change. I felt my voice change. I felt myself enter a character and really feel a spirit come into my body. And I became someone else. I became that person. I shaved my hair for that role. And it was just phenomenal. I worked with Vusi Kunene. I worked with Filmatic at some point, became part of that show. Keke Simogo, Kensani Mangai now, Kensani Ngosi. So I've been groomed.
That interests me the most, that the part that you're talking about, that you literally became the character, the spirit.
Yes.
Because for me, like when I watch, Malcolm X is my favorite movie of all time. So I can feel that the spirit is there. I feel that.
Yes.
And is that what we're looking for when we're prepping for character, the spirit?
You know, I always say everybody has a different method. So I allow, the minute I have a role, I allow. You know, the late Jamie Bartlett once said to me, go to the street where you live. Inside, on that street, is a woman you're about to play. But for me, the street where I live is not where I live. The street I always go to, the street where I grew up in Alexander Township. I go to 6th Avenue, and I go to number 28, and I go into the little house I grew up in, and I open the doors to the other houses, and I meet the women, and I go, in these women is every role that I'm ever gonna play. And I come with those women. I never come alone. When I play a character, they come with me. You know, whether it's the woman who lived in the back rooms or the woman who lived in the front rooms, the woman at the butcher shop, the woman at the spaza shop, they come with me. You know, the neighbor who has a sangoma, she comes with me. So I come with all those people. You know, I always say, I am that actor. I'm always at the bus stop with my bags and I'm waiting for my role. And I don't get on any bus coming. I'm waiting for my bus and I'll wait for that bus.
Yeah.
You know, with my bags. And when the bus arrives, I'll open that bag and I'll put on my outfit, whatever that character is, and then I'll be ready.
Absolutely Beautiful,
You know,
man.
so that's, I really think the spirit comes when you open yourself to the idea that you are actually a channel.
Yes.
You're a channel. That's all we're doing. We're channeling energy. You know, we're allowing ourselves to be vessels. And this takes time. It takes years of truly understanding how you get there, what your process is. And sometimes there's no process. Sometimes it's just washing dishes in your house.
True. Oh,
And yeah, I remember prepping for River, washing dishes in my mother's house. And I'd think about this woman and I'd see her. I saw her in many different versions. So by the time I arrive on set, I'm loaded. I'm ready to fire on all cylinders. And I always say, every chance you get to represent your people, come with everything.
yeah.
Shut it down.
I've noticed when we're doing the research about you, there's something that stood out for me. You fight for you fight for representation.
I'm done fighting people.
Not fighting people. You fight for beautiful representation, especially of Black women. And I want to ask about that because I love the fight. I love that particular, not fighting with crew members or people. Again, that fighting to be seen. Because I think as humans, that's what we all fight. We're all fighting to be seen, to be recognized. But you're fighting for it on screen.
Yes.
That lo mama lo that you're saying,
Yes, I
that
do.
we're seeing her.
Yeah.
Why is that fight so important to you?
Because when I was at school, I was the only Black girl. And I remember having this project where we had to write about our favorite actresses. And everyone in my class, they were talking about Sandra Prinsloo. Everybody wanted to do Sandra Prinsloo. And there were so many of these Afrikaans actors and actresses. And I remember wondering, what was it about Sandra Prinsloo? And there was such a reverence and such a respect for this woman's work. And I remember as a child thinking, that's what I want to be. I want to be respected. I want to be respected for representing my people. And also because when I was reading, when I was growing up, there wasn't enough books about Black women.
Yeah.
And I was in search of our stories. I wanted to know, I wanted us, I wanted me, I wanted all of us. Who are we? My mother, my aunts, the women down the road, all these, where were they? Why were they not in the books that I was reading? I was reading all these European books, and that's great, and that's wonderful. It gave me language.
Yeah.
But I wanted more. I mean, that's why I did a degree on African literature, because I wanted to read about Black women. I remember a friend of mine, Moon Zara Arthur, buying me The Color Purple. That's the first time I read a book with Black women in it, So I have a real need, and I think it's beyond me, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's what I came for.
Yeah.
I came for us. I came to speak. I came to say we exist.
Yes.
And I think when people have been, imprisoned, traumatized, wounded, hurt, maimed, muted for so long, we think that they cannot speak. But they do speak.
That's true.
And I'm interested in the language, in our language. How do we speak? How do we hold each other? How do we sleep next to each other? How do we do our hair?
Yeah.
How do we say I love you? Is it just I love you? Has it got many other layers? And what are the layers of love? So the other thing that drives me is love.
That's beautiful.
I'm interested in the love language of us. Because I feel that love can heal us at a deep, profound level. True. And I'm not talking about I love you. I'm talking about the act of love, the actual doing of love, because it's a verb. I always think we underestimate how when somebody dies, people come together.
Yeah.
You don't just go as a Black person.
Yeah. It's the one thing that brings us together as Black people.
We sing for you to go whether you believe in heaven or whatever, but we sing you to go to the next place. We eat in celebration of who you've been. There's these rituals of life that we as a people have, and for me, that's an act of love.
I hear you.
I hear you. And you don't think of that when you're in it, but when you step out and you actually look at it, you go, oh my God, imagine when you go, they actually send you off with song, and it can be quite incredible, So that is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in love as a form of healing and as a form, as a way that we can dance to who we are.
I love what you're saying. There's a very spiritual thing to it. I've seen a round table talk with DPs, and they're all like, and all the directors of photography are all talking about, okay, the lens, the what, and then there's Bradford Young, who just says he's interested in finding out, how do you shoot your grandmother's hand, for example?
Absolutely.
How do you make that cinematic and give it a great meaning, that touch that you really did get?
That's when I talk about love. I think about when you walk on set and there's a kitchen and you're playing the mother. Where do you put your pots? Where's the dishcloth?
Yeah.
What do you do with your dish? What's the thing you do when you come into your kitchen as that mother?
I hear you.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel that kind of thing. It's like painting. We are painting. We no longer we are being. We are inhabiting a space and a place, and we're being present in that space.
That's true.
You know, so I feel that's what that is. And you have to give all these things energy, your energy. You've lived with them.
Yeah.
You're not starting out with them.
Yeah.
You've been at this. You've been cooking in this kitchen. You've been throwing a dishcloth at somebody.
I know, my mom has hit me at that dish. So I even know the movements
exactly.
of the dish.
You know, the way you stand at your kitchen and you can hear somebody walking in and you're like, I don't want to look at this child. You know what I mean? When your mother gives you the back, she doesn't look at you. That's a language. That can't be scripted. That's two actors who've got to go into that space and be present with each other, you know?
Wow.
When your mother is not speaking to you, what do?
Yes.
Yeah, right there. That's the moment. Unscripted. Write that down.
If you got me. No, you got, because I'm thinking of my mom. Love you, mama.
Always, we love our mothers. But when your mother's not talking to you, what do you do?
Yeah, no, it's...
How do you come into that kitchen?
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember, even as you're saying this, I'm remembering one time I thought they were going to whoop me and she said nothing. And my world was just, I'm like, why am I not getting whooped at the moment?
That's power.
And she just stood there. I'd say, and she just sat there. And
that's
like,
hardcore.
I was like, whoa, this is actually worse than the whooping.
Yes.
Right now. At Macho, we believe that storytellers change the world, and we would like to give you the right tools to accomplish this mission. For all your gear rental needs, go to www.macho.co.za or send us an email at rentals@macho.co.za.
You know, the thing is, we're not writing like an array of characters.
Yeah.
For both men and women.
Yeah.
There are people I feel they've been cast for the same thing that if they were to be asked to cast for something else, they'd be so much more interesting. You know, Israel, I'll give you Israel, always gets cast as a thug. I am dying to cast him as somebody's father.
Yeah.
I think he would or somebody's lover.
Agree.
I think he would knock it out the park.
Agreed.
I think he would kill it.
Put him in like a Fences type role, like that Denzel Fences
Can you imagine?
father.
Can you imagine?
Wow, he'd murder.
Ronnie Nyakala, can you imagine just saying, like a guy who's just trying to live his life and do the right thing? Can you just imagine taking these men out? Oh, cast him as a priest.
Oh, wow.
Cast him as a priest.
He's so classic, actually.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like all these people that we've seen playing the same role and nobody wants to push the bar. If you took them and say, just play something else, I think because what they are, they're really deeply talented people. But because we live in a world that says, and it's unfortunate because we kind of revere the thug.
Yeah.
We've been made to revere the thug.
Yeah.
But I think the responsibility of an actor who's playing the thug is to say, okay, I'm going to play the thug, but I'm going to give him something else that's not there. You know, I'm going to give him a sweetness or a gentleness. Yeah.
I was having this conversation with a friend that I just want to mention, there's a production that's seen and someone was playing a thug, and I'm just like, thugs don't act like this, man. They don't do this thing. I'm weak ass, man. I'm weak ass.
Yes.
And some of the things that would, I would say Evers George, for example, Lamakins,
Yes.
they were some of the sweetest,
I was about to
nicest
say that to you.
guys that you would ever come. You would hear a girl saying, "Oh, sweet girl," oh, yes. And you're like, no. I just saw this guy slap
Listen.
someone last week.
There is nothing as good looking as a thug. There is nothing as sweet as a thug. I'm not saying do anything. I'm just saying, and you're right, my mother was a school principal. And she taught thugs, people who went on to become thugs. Some of them went to prison. But every time I've met these men and they say hello to my mother, I would never say. And my mother would say to you, he has always been like that, respectful, kind, helpful. So that's what I'm saying, that a person is not one thing. A person is a multitude of things, of beings. And we have reached a point where we just say, she's a slay queen. A slay queen is not just a slay queen is not just a slay queen. How did she become a slay queen? What got her to be a slay queen?
That's true.
Did she wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a slay queen? No, baby. There is something else underneath a slay queen. A slay queen is a woman at work, actually. That's a woman getting up to go to work. Because you got to work it to be a slay queen. No, you are working it. Whether slay queen, you are working it. You are working something from what you're wearing, from how you look. You are working it. So when you are playing a slay queen, if you layer her, we will feel it.
That is so true. That is something. There's a my street where I grew up, next street. I remember there's this girl. She's beautiful, amazing body. She liked dudes, man. She loved dudes, and there was always a different dude coming to see her. And I remember thinking to myself, where did she learn this? Where did she see this? And I think the following day, I see her mom at the corner with a dude.
Yes.
And then the following day, I see her with a different dude, and it's like, okay, cool. So now the layers that you're talking about, besides that, that's what I'm seeing with the mom. What's going on at home when it's just the two of them?
Exactly. There's also other emotional things. Is there abandonment issues? Are we dealing with poverty here? Is this a way to put bread on the table? Do you know what I mean? This woman is not just out here with the dudes. This girl is running a business. And we may not think it's a great business. We may not even think, but there's a business. So there's a business lady there. You know, somebody once said, all great thugs are actually businessmen who couldn't make it in the business world. So they created their own businesses. We don't like that idea, but it is the truth.
That's true.
It's like, I wasn't allowed this, so I created this. You know, so I'm a beautiful girl. I'm not really educated, but I'm beautiful and men like me. And I need to make a living. You know what I mean? And we're poor. Bread has to be on the table. And if being with a man is going to put bread on the table, there's layers. So I'm saying, if you're an actor and you're being typecast, you've got to start layering your characters. You've got to start doing the work, the hard labor, because directors will not give you that. The script will not give you that, at least here. So you have to come with that stuff. What happened in your life? Then we are now watching somebody who has something else. Then you're seeing a woman who's not just, I like my jita. It's like, I'm moving things. I'm starting a business. It's a side hustle because I'm trying to go to school, because I'm trying to have a spaza shop. You know, you always hear of a woman who lived with a man and then one day she packed her things, she went to live somewhere and started a business. You're like, hey, she was working. So I'm saying that, where do you come from? Some people don't come from Joburg. They don't come from a city. They come from a rural place. That also gives you a different person. Having grown up in the rural space is different to having grown up in the city.
Hella different.
So your psychology is everything. It layers the character. It's what we don't see. It's what is not written. It's what we feel.
Oh wow. So basically, you gotta dig when you're getting into character. Like you said, it's not Uchiri Otanda Amachito.
No.
We're going to the depths of the person's soul, basically.
What gets you up in the morning? What does she do first thing she gets up in the morning? What is she thinking? What is she trying to move? What's actually her dream? And if you speak to a lot of people who are sort of on the periphery of life, they have a dream. They started out like all of us with a dream. Something happened and took them to another life happened. They were trying to get there, but life happened, and then they went with that route, So I think it's very important as young actors. I can't change typecasting; it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But what you do when you get a role allows people to say, "Hey, look what else she can do."
I get what you're saying. I love the character of Matthew McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street. He only had 2 scenes, but I hear he was even nominated for that. So I hear you, the depth that you go into. What are the first questions you're asking yourself when you're getting into a character? Like you're saying, it's the who is she, where is she, and the whatnot. Where do you start when you start getting into the character?
For me, I always look for location.
Oh.
Her space, the personal space is very important for me.
Okay.
Is she somebody who lies on the bed? Like I remember once on the river, we were shooting and I said, Johnny, I want to lie on my bed. And he said, but that's what we're not going to do. I said, sometimes people in shacks actually go home and they lie on their bed in the middle of the day and have a moment with themselves. Yeah. Yes, this is her world. Yeah. And the only space in the house that she can actually have to herself is the bed. So I'd just like to lie on my bed in the middle of the day and take a moment. I'd like to have a conversation on the bed with my daughter. So I always look for what's her safe space. Once I know her safe space, then I can go anywhere. Because in her safe space is her clothes. What does she wear? I go to even the underwear. The underwear is everything. No. As a woman, for me, my characters, what they wear underneath, my different characters wore different things. And that's not coming from, I know. You look at me like, go, what have you just said? I said underwear. The underwear is important. Why? Because
so you want to para night dress, para the sexy stuff, para.
Yes. I once said to Johnny, Malifu has a panty that she's been wearing for a long time because she can't afford to buy a new panty. There's no money. It used to be white, but now it's gray, and it's got a hole on the left cheek. She wears that panty every day. She washes it at night, and she wears it because there's no money. I had to go to those details. If I didn't go to that detail, I would not understand. What I was saying is that this poverty, there's no space for other things. A panty is a luxury. For her, a panty is a luxury. Yeah. It's the last item or things that need to be bought or done in the day.
Yeah.
She will wash it, she will wear it the next day. Done. There's no thinking. She doesn't need to. There's children. There's a child who has to go to school. There's food that has to be on the table. She's not working. She's hustling. So, yes, underwear is important. But a high-class woman who has money can buy the sexy lingerie. Yeah. Or a high-class woman might not wear sexy lingerie. She might wear iblumas. Straight up, because that is what's comfortable. Because that holds her. Because she feels strong in it. She can handle things. Because her husband's just died. You need to hold things, get faggy plumas, deal with the situation, But that is, like, people do not think about that. But that is the truth,
Yeah.
She's not wearing, she's got the money.
Yeah.
But this one panty, when she's got it on, it's like an armor. She's coming for everything.
Yeah, I think I feel you. Just going back to like a role like Fences, I felt like Denzel researched that role so much. He had nuances that reminded me of my own father. I was like, oh my God, no. I can't repeat that film because there's just certain things that he did that my father did, and he reminded me of my father, and then reminded me of certain things that happened when I was a child growing up. And I was like, oh my.
Well, I think the thing that people don't realize is the actors go to work. When I leave my house and I have a role, I go to work. And in the work that I do, I put on clothes, I work with props. But when you're going to see the film or meet that character, the sense you have to get is that I've been living that life. I'm not going to introduce you to you're not going to know the panty I'm wearing. I'm going to know that. It does something for me. It forms part of of that universe for me, you know. But you, when you receive it, it's a full character. So you see these nuances that he probably, you know, he's thought about how he holds something. But sometimes you also just, the character leads you there. Once you open that space, the character leads you there. The character throws that dishcloth. You know, it's not you anymore. Well, it's you, but you know, you allow intuition. You allow a presentness. I always talk about being present.
Yeah.
You allow yourself to be present enough to go with the moment.
True.
You know,
True.
it's scripted, yes. But yes, you've done that walking thing, plotting, blah, blah. But now you're in the moment. The other character, you might have gone into a scene saying, you know what, there will be no crying. It will not be emotional. But you could say something to me, and I could see when I was talking to you about Malifu's Penti, that you were just like, it hit you. The poverty level.
Yeah.
Because that immediately takes you to the level I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You never even thought of that. But I thought of it as an actor it's gotta go. What is she wearing? What is she wearing? Does she have a panty? It's an essential thing for a woman. So I want the essence of a character when I play a character. But I also have to tell you that I have found that when I work on international shows, it's different.
Okay.
Why is it different? Because you're dealing with other people's interpretation of Black people. And I've had to learn to have diplomacy.
Okay.
And to allow you to tell me how you interpret me.
Okay.
And for me, all I can do is to imbue the spirit, to hold the spirit. But to allow you, because you bring me into your story, wanting to present it to your people, not necessarily to my people. And I will always say there's a freedom in acting here at home.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Wow.
there's a freedom. I find freedom.
Yeah.
I find freedom because I can also speak in my language.
Yes.
I find freedom because I don't have to be all these other things. I can just be, you know. I also think because we are an evolving industry, because our writers are young, because our writers haven't gone to the depth that I still think they should go in their writing. Actors bring a lot more. True. Actors, you know, I get a script in English. I'm going to play it in Setswana. Just that translation moment, something happens. Things are lost. Things are lost, things are replaced, things are created actually. So we in this country, I think the thing we don't recognize that we're co-creators. You cannot write about a 40-year-old woman unless you've done such deep research or you're so gifted that you understand that madness of transiting from your 30s to your 40s as a woman. Because it's not just aging, it's actually hormonal, it's spiritual, it's actually life-changing, you know, or transiting from 40 to 50. What is happening to that person internally, you know? So because we're not, I don't know if it's a research thing, but I feel like we're not researching enough and we're not speaking to the people. You got to go to the ground, guys.
Yeah.
You got to speak to the people. You got to speak to the lady who cleans your house.
Yeah.
You got to watch Moja Love. Watch Moja Love. It's a whole acting lesson.
Yeah.
If you want to play a character, you don't know where to go, just go watch Moja Love and you'll come back with your character. You know what I mean? Like every time I watch that, whatever's going on Moja Love, I always think, are writers watching this? Because there are things people say there that will never be said anywhere else.
That is so true.
People don't think they're on TV. They're in their life, doing themselves.
That's true.
Showing up.
Yeah.
No malome.
Yeah.
No auntie.
I go home and I found my mom watching more. She's like, Ma,
Yes.
and it's like, hi, Mtana, hey. You know, my mom always has she feels for people. She has this thing, oh, Mtana, you know, and she'll just be like,
Yes, so like that's why I'm saying that the array of blackness playing out in Moja Love will show you just how much more how far we need to go to actually create characters that everyone feels. Your mother's watching that like she's watching a soap, like my mother, like all our mothers. They don't miss it.
If you can't get the shot on set, you can get it at Mad Show Library. We've got the best in stock footage and archive. Just go to www.madshowlibrary.com. You said you've produced one film.
Yes.
How was the film? What happened? How was your experience? And why only one?
Because of how I came into it, why one? Because it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. At least for me, it was one of the hardest things I ever did in my profession. Producing. Why? Because it's a business.
Yeah.
Producing is a business. Straight up business.
Yeah.
It's about money. It's about, we got to get a project out. This is how much money we have. We got to hire people. It's creating work for people and paying them. And it's also relying on other people to pay you on time to pay people. That nightmare, I don't like it. I don't like being in debt. So I don't like owing other people. I don't like sleepless nights about, is the money going to come in?
Yeah.
And also going to an actor that you know is worth so much more and saying, please, will you do this for so much?
Yeah.
I don't mind the walking in and asking for money. That can sometimes be really great to present your story.
Yeah.
I think there's something really amazing about believing in a story and going to the film festivals and whatever you have to do to get the money. But I think the hardest part is believing the money's coming. You've signed the contracts. The money's delayed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You taking money out of your own pocket and paying people. I mean, people in this country are generous.
Yeah.
You know, I had lived and worked in Cape Town before. In fact, when we were shooting Scully, I was finishing Black Sails. I actually asked some of the crew on Black Sails to come and help us, and they agreed. These were people who were working, mostly internationals, but when they heard I was producing a film, they were willing to come on days when we needed backup for crew and crew for us, you know, and take like pay that they haven't received in probably donkey years, right? Actors that I had known in a social capacity in Cape Town, calling them up and saying, I'm doing this film. It's a colored film. It's been directed by a colored man. Will you play this role? Will you come? I'm not auditioning you. I'm asking you. Please come and do this with us. And this is all the money we have. You know, I found that for me was deeply painful. This not being able to pay people what they're worth and knowing what they're bringing. You know, with older actors, the one thing they always bring, you know, we call it coat hangers.
Yeah.
You can have all these young people, but you have one solid good actor in there, and they'll hold that film for you.
That's true.
They will make sure that your film comes out as a film.
That's true.
You know, they will. They like, I don't know, but it's just it's part of the grooming of a certain generation that we have. So that for me is the reason why. Every time somebody, I mean, people have approached me and say, will you produce? And first, I have to love the story because you will get up in the middle of the night and think about that story.
True.
You will think about those characters. You'll say, why is this character still here? We need to move this character to this. When I met John, he had been with that film for over 10 years, I think. And when I read it, and everybody was always making him translate it in English, and I read it in Afrikaans because when I was growing up, there were colored people in my neighborhood. We were mixed in Alexander Township. So reading it, I felt like I went home. I was like, I know these people. I get you. Stop. And they're taking out so many things out of the script. And I was like, bring back all that stuff. Bring back the mother praying. Bring back the mother. Bring it back. Bring back your people. Bring them back. Let's work with who you are. And I loved his writing. I had never seen writing like that in South Africa, where John, when you read his writing in Afrikaans, he was in it. He wasn't starting. He was in it. He was already, like, the character is telling the story already in it, which was such an unusual style of writing. You know, he wasn't introducing his characters. They were there. They were part of that universe, you know. There was one scene that we took out of the film, but I think in the longer version they put of the neighbor who just comes after somebody's been taken by the police and stands there and asks what just happened. And then in the end she asks, how's my hair? I changed the color. I just love that. It's us.
It's so, yeah.
It's irreverent.
Yeah.
You know, it's not what is in, you know, film 101, but it's us.
True.
And we've got to be willing to tell stories that represent us without, you know, without tempering with them so much, you know. And I think that film got me to do other things. Like I did a script editing course.
Yeah.
I went to London and did a directing course because I felt like as a producer, I didn't know anything. But knowing what a director is going through, and when you do a directing course, you learn about casting, you learn about so many other aspects, you learn about art direction, you know. And the greatest thing I took away from is that everybody who's on set with you has probably been doing what they're doing longer than you have. So you can always ask for help. When you don't know, ask somebody who knows, which is such a great thing, you know. But yeah, producing is, for me, it was I found it very tough. And I'd breathe a couple of times before I would do it again.
And then the directing? Editing.
I haven't directed. I haven't put myself out like that. I loved acting for a very long time. Acting was my lover. I've decided that I'd like to give her some space. I'd like her to go do other things, find other lovers. So that I can find other lovers.
I hear you.
And maybe we'll come back again to each other at some point.
One day we'll...
Yeah, one day we'll come back.
I think next lifetime.
Yes, you know, even if it's not in the next, I feel like there's other things that I need to explore. And I think it's something I think young people, as they come into the industry, should really think about. What are your other talents?
Yeah.
And really don't give up on your other talents. Develop them. Just because as an actor, you always have a feast or a famine. There's only 2 seasons.
Nothing in between.
There's no autumn, there's no spring. Summer or winter.
No tappers.
No. There is summer or winter.
Wow. You're also doing some international work, Apple TV?
I've done it.
You've done that?
I've done that, yes.
How did you get into the international space?
I auditioned. I was cast. You know, you go for casting, somebody sees you, you get a role, you fly to Cape Town, you shoot, you go, you know. But before I did Black Sails, and Black Sails was phenomenal for me.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal because I've never had international producers phone me and ask me, do you want to be on our show? I was like, straight out like, get out of here.
They headhunted you.
You know, I went to an audition, and also I came into the audition after they like auditioned a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And they flew me to Cape Town, and I've never had an audition like this. I will remember that audition for the rest of my life.
Okay.
I go into this room with this man, Alex, and Russian. He's actually a DOP, was originally a DOP, and he's now a director. And he worked me. We worked one scene. We worked one monologue, not even long. We did, I'm sure, about 5, if not 6 or 8 interpretations.
Wow.
I would do it, and he'd say, now, play it as this. Play it as if this was happening, giving me different scenarios. And I remember walking out of that audition feeling like, even if I didn't get it, I've just shown somebody what I'm capable of. I just reminded myself that I've actually got the skills and the ability to do this thing. Because when you are auditioning for internationals, it's no longer about just can you act. It's also about the ability to really listen, to hear what somebody's saying, to interpret it. Now we're going to interpretation. You know, there's no winging it. You're working with what is on paper, you know. And English can get tricky. And, you know, there's a way that they've written the dialogue, and you've got to work with that dialogue, you know. So it really was quite special. And the way he directed, you know, and the fact that she was a queen.
Yeah.
The story starts with the husband dying, but she continues to lead the rebellion. It's such a great story, you know. This African woman, Caribbean woman, meeting these colonizers, deciding to go to join forces with them to fight the system. I mean, it's a crazy story, but it was amazing, you know.
Wow.
And they treated me really well.
Is it?
They treated me phenomenally well.
What do you say to the actor or actress who's going through famine and they're not having... The feast is probably on its way, but they haven't reached there. They're still going through famine.
I always say a famine is an opportunity to prepare for the feast. The lessons you learn in famine will teach you to respect the feast and to know how to feast. Because you see, hunger can make you an idiot. Hunger can make you an idiot.
Yeah.
You can feast and forget that there's a famine.
Yeah.
So the great thing about a famine is to never forget it.
Yeah.
That's just rule number one. Don't forget the famine.
True.
So when you get into the feast, pause. Just pause. Look at the table laid out for you. Decide what is necessary to consume and what is not to be consumed.
Because you can now just solo,
Yes, and you can do things, and you can be here, and you can be like, guys, you guys live in this universe, and it's everybody wants you, you're like amazing, you're trending, you're this, you're that. There is a famine. For every person right now trending, there will be a famine. There will be a famine. It's as sure as night and day. So that's the rule. Go take the lessons of, and do something during the famine. Create rituals of living. I call them rituals of living.
Okay.
That means figure out what holds you. What is it in your life that when everything else falls apart, holds you? What grounds you? What's your anchor? Have a practice.
I see.
For some people it's running. For me, it's yoga and meditation. But have a practice. If it's a spiritual practice, have a spiritual practice. If it's martial art, have a practice that doesn't need money, that you do by yourself, that grounds you.
True.
That holds you. And if it's not working out, don't be afraid to change direction. Leave the country. Go teach in China.
Yeah.
Go do something that may not have been the plan, but keep moving, because in that, you will discover something else about yourself.
That's true.
Our fear of leaving the thing we thought we were supposed to be stands in the way of us discovering our greatness. I love acting, but it may not be what is best serving my highest purpose right now. So I will move to other things. I will open myself to other things that may not necessarily be what I thought I could do, but I will be like, and use your never lose your curiosity. If you're into plants, learn about them. Open a little nursery, start selling plants, whatever it is, find your magic. We are not creators of one thing, we're creators of many things. We're creators of life. And if we're gonna be here as artists, we are going to have to discover what are my other talents so I can live here. And above all, respect money.
Yeah.
It will come, it will go. Respect it. That's why I say don't forget the famine.
True. Oh, true. You've had such a long career. Wow, an incredibly long career. Is there a point in time after you've been doing it, and you feel like now, like you said, you got to keep moving? Was there a point where you felt stuck? And then what did you do to get that movement going again?
When I was in my 20s and 30s, every time I'd have a famine, I'd go back to studying.
Okay.
Yeah, I would enroll for my honors or whatever, And now that I'm a mom, I just take that time and I just invest it in this little person. Yeah. And I invested in my family. And earlier on I told you that, last year was not a great year with work. I haven't done anything locally since Isono. I think that's over 3 or 4 years ago. And I think discovering that actually I want to plant flowers in my yard. I want to plant flowers. And my flowers have bloomed. My garden's looking very beautiful. That gives me like joy. I've had to when you're an actor, you're always so reliant on others. Your joy is always external. I'm loving this age. My joy is internal. What makes me happy is inside me. I don't need the applause to feel happy. I don't need the applause to know I've done a great job. I can do the job and I can leave it. Because the great thing about being an actor is that you take off the costume, you go home. And I go home. So when I'm not doing this, I go home. I go inside me, I figure things out, I go back to my curiosity, I read books, I watch anime. I discovered that I love animation, so I watch animation a lot. And then I go through seasons of, every year I give myself like a challenge with books from a different country to read. You know, there was a year I was reading Turkish writers, women writers. And then I went through a year of reading Japanese women writers. I'm still sort of in the Japanese women writers section. The African women are always there. They're always part of it. But, you know, I come and I go. But yeah, so I that's how I feed myself. And I always know that during the famine or the stillness, I was thinking a lot when I was prepping for this about where are you? And the word that came to me is Didimalo. Didimalo is it's a Tswana name. It's a silence. And in silence I can hear. In the quiet. You know, I'm in the quiet. I'm in quietness. And quietness is allowing me to hear other things. Because I also feel that I've done what I needed to do. I'm not saying it's the end. I'm not saying there isn't another great role out there. But I feel like the industry's shifted. And it's going in another direction. And I may not necessarily be part of that movement. Also because I'm not putting myself out, you know. But that's what I'm doing. I'm meandering in life and lifing and allowing myself to discover new things about myself.
Absolutely beautiful. I think I'm going to end it all. One last question. You and Swan actually asked you as you were doing your makeup, she said, when are you going to Hollywood? And then you gave a brilliant answer. And I'd love to hear it.
I'll never say no to Hollywood because Hollywood will pay my bills and give me a soft life. I hope. I hope. I don't know if it does. I'm holding out for the great South African film. It may not be in my lifetime, but I believe that there is a young person or older, but there is a young person who's going to make that film that is spirit-led.
Okay.
It's a film that is going to represent us unashamedly, that will go to the core of who we are, and we will all feel it. You know the way you talk about Fences and all these films, I want you one day to kind of quote a South African film that you watched and somebody gave a performance that just stayed with you for life, that shifted you. That's what I'm holding out for. And I want all those great actors that we have, even if it's one scene, one word, you come in, you say your word, like for life. You say it like we're dependent on this word for water. And that's it. And I just want to see this contingent of South African cast, crew, going to the Oscars and getting that Oscar. By us, for us.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
That's it. That's it. So am I going to Hollywood? I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm waiting for you. I don't know where you are. I'm looking for you. I'm supporting you in your dream. There's a young girl or young man dreaming this dream. It is not my dream alone. It is a dream of many people. And I'm saying to them, I support that dream. I am part of your dream. I'm there with you.
Oh my God.
I'm that grandmother in your dream saying, we're going to do this.
I'm telling you. Give me 1 second before we close off. 1 second.
Okay, I'm going to wait for this 1 second.
Are we going this side? Can I go this side?
Still rolling.
Well, I feel like I'm in my own show.
May I go this side?
Waiting right now.
I mean, like, imagine you're at a show and they leave you. I mean, what do they expect you to do? Start your own show.
Don't cut.
We're not cutting.
I'm back. I am already back.
Oh, wow.
really amazing.
We wanted to literally and figuratively give you your flowers.
I am so blessed.
You are incredibly blessed. We all know you when we were still babies, children on the screen. I say this, I've known you since I was a young man. And you've made an incredible impact on the industry. You're an icon, legend, and we want to say thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done, for everyone whose life you have touched. We thank you. If the industry's never told you, know that we are telling you today. The industry bows, and we thank you for each and every single thing you've done, every role you've stepped in, every set that you have stepped on. You have made a difference, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
You just touched me. You just touched me so deeply.
Had to.
I never ever take it for granted. And I just want to say, South Africa has always been good to me.
Yeah.
The people have always shown their appreciation. And I wouldn't do this without you. I wouldn't do this without all of you having watched me since you were children. I appreciate it so deeply. I think we are when there are others.
There we go.
I cannot be alone in this.
Mad love.
I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for having me here today. I can't even get on.
That's okay. Be there in the moment. You deserve it. It's your, you worked so hard for it.
Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for seeing us. We don't need to go to Hollywood. We can stay here and be seen. There's a generation that didn't get seen.
There we go.
I was born in 1976. Somebody died in 1976 so that I can do this.
True.
So I appreciate this, and I appreciate life for allowing me to do this.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys.
Courage.
It feels good every day when every African turns and shines my way. All my brothers from Zaire, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. It feels good every day when every African turns and shines my way. All my brothers from Zaire, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Man, it feels good.
For more amazing content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And please follow us on all our social media pages. Love.